This is Secret America.
Welcome, everybody. I am Jack Danger along with Jay Gatling, and there is a lot to get to today. We've got Kristi Noem apparently out at the DHS, and there's so many rumors going around. There's a rumor that she was having an affair with some married guy that she was, that was under her. There's a room. There's just so many rumors, but the main thing, from what I can tell, Jay, at least what it looks like to me, is that Trump was just pissed off about the ad campaign thing. But I got to ask you, what the hell kind of ad campaign takes $220 million? I mean, let me tell you, that's enough to buy every commercial at the Super Bowl. Why not just buy every commercial at the Super Bowl and make them all Kristi Noem?
That's a good question. Good point. You could buy a lot of commercials at the Super Bowl with $220 million. The guy who's the affair, and you said he was under her, Jack. I don't know where you were going with that. But anyway, his name.
It's more ways than one.
Yeah, his name is Corey Lewandowski, and he was actually President Trump's first campaign manager back in 2016. So he's been around a while, and he's had a couple issues. This isn't his first one, and apparently Kristi Noem is now being set to be some envoy for some America's Shield or some program that President Trump is doing, and Corey Lewandowski is apparently going with her. So they're both being kind of jettisoned.
Now that's...
Yeah, well, if you listen to the White House message, what Peter Doocy read on Fox News about why they were getting rid of Kristi Noem, they didn't pull any punches. I mean, they was kind of scathing to the point where I'm like, I'm shocked she's still in the administration. But
it's funny that they're going together, though. They're going
shipping them out.
These two people had an affair. Apparently, he was under her. She was on top of him. Let's put it that way. And apparently they're going to still be together at a different position. That's just hilarious to me.
Yeah. Right. Allegedly had an affair together. Right. That's allegedly. We don't know. Yeah. That's the rumor. And it caused some issues. And the other thing that caused an issue, Jack, I don't know, is that the other day at the Senate hearing, it was 2 days ago, and she was asked about that ad campaign. And she kind of threw President Trump under the bus on. It's like, yeah, he knew all about it. He approved it. He let it go. And did you see the ad, Jack, with her on a horseback in front of Mount Rushmore? It looked very AI. I thought Homeland Security did a great job with a lot of their social media. I didn't think this ad campaign for all that money was really one of their finest hours to begin with. But he was pissed about that, about the fact that she answered the question the way she did, because I think it might open him up to some problems possibly if the Democrats take the House.
Oh, lawsuits and everything, man. I mean, he could be liable for, wasting taxpayer money for this or that. They'll impeach him over it. I guarantee you they'll impeach him. If they win in 2028, he's going to be, or in 2026, he's going to be impeached like 5 or 6 times. They've already got it written down. It's already on the future. It's already on Hakeem Jeffries' desk, waiting to be signed as soon as they are sworn in. That's already the case. But you're right. I mean, you said that Trump was reportedly furious, after Noem testified under oath about the $220 million. Not just that, though, but the jets with the bedrooms, which I found strange. I mean, even if they're a long form jet that you plan to take in a long trip, I mean, it's still a private jet. What do you need a bedroom for? People take those trips all the time on commercial airlines without bedrooms. And I just, I found that to be strange. I mean, you got to think about it. She's riding on a private jet with Lewandowski, and there's a bedroom. I mean, that to me is strange.
It's strange, and to me, it's kind of, you're asking for a problem, aren't you? I mean, even if you're not doing anything, you're just asking for rumors to start. It's very strange. They weren't happy about Minnesota, and that's why. And she didn't get along with Tom Homan. Apparently, she kind of butted heads with people. They didn't see eye to eye, so they weren't happy with Minnesota. I didn't have a problem with Minnesota, but they didn't like the way she handled it. They didn't like the way a couple of her appearances on the press with it went, and they sent Tom Homan in there to clean it up. And
messaging is a huge problem for the Trump administration. I mean, we're talking Pam Bondi, Trump himself. Earlier today, this brings us a great segue. Earlier today, Trump had some problems with messaging himself. Really bad problems with messaging. And I want to show you this, Jay. You've already seen this, but I want to see how many other people might have seen this. So check this out. This is a tweet right here from Thomas Massie. And the reason I bring this up is because it's got the things that I want to talk about. So check this out. And I found this funny. I'm not a Thomas Massie fan, but he said his post transitioned. Now, that's funny as shit. I don't care who you are. That's funny.
Talk about giving him a layup. You gave him a layup.
But that was damn fun. So apparently Donald Trump's post, the first one he did at 10:39 a.m. said no transgender mutilation surgery for children without the express written approval of the parents, which, I think most of us can agree that there shouldn't be transgender mutilation surgery at all if you're under the age of 18. If you're 18, you can fuck up your body as you see fit. But if you're under 18, I don't care if you have parental approval or not. You can't get parental approval to drink. You can't get parental approval to smoke. So why the hell do you get parental approval to chop off your dick and, take a piece of your arm and make it into a vagina? That's just not the way it should be. And I don't know if that was something that he put on there and maybe he thought, and then, he decided to change it because he got a lot of backlash. He eventually changed it to this. He deleted it and he said no transgender mutilation surgery for children. So, messaging has been a huge problem for the Trump administration, not just Donald Trump, but also Kristi Noem now apparently with this campaign ad. By the way, did you know that her campaign ad, that entire $220 million was ran through a subcontractor that was with her allies, her friends? That $220 million was ran through her friends to run that campaign. And I can promise you that campaign didn't cost $220 million. Not if I can pay for every commercial at the Super Bowl.
That's the problem. That's where he was like, wait a minute, what are you talking about? I approve that. You throw me into this mess. And it's funny, not funny, but President Trump's usually pretty good with messaging. He usually does a good job. This was not his finest hour. This was a blunder to put that on there with the parent. No, we don't want it at all, ever. And I'll say this for him: once he gets the backlash, he does adjust, and he did. He did adjust.
But check this out, Jay. I want to ask you about this. Look at this. Yeah. Okay, so this says right here. Check that out. You see what that says? That says the Save America Act. The Save America Act has nothing in there about banning men and women's sports. It has nothing in there about banning transgender mutilation surgery. Why are those two things put under the Save America Act slogan?
Don't know. Was he just trying to rattle off some things he wants the Senate to do? Maybe, because maybe those are some of the things he wants the Senate.
I don't know, because the first three are in the Save America Act. So the other two don't make any sense.
No, not for this particular, not to be numbered 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. No, they don't. They're not part of that act. You're 100% correct. I don't know. I don't know what was going on with that truth. Like I said, usually he's pretty on top of that. He's pretty good with it, and he's probably the best messenger he has for himself. But no, this was a bad one. And when he makes a mistake, we call it out. This was a mistake. He corrected it. I'm glad he did, but he's going to take some heat for it from people that don't like him. And that's just the way it is. That's politics.
Well, yeah, you're going to take heat for that. And I got to say, like I said, I'm not a Thomas Massey fan, but saying that his post-transition, I mean, that couldn't have been any better. That was perfect. It was hilarious.
Yeah, ground ball, and he fielded it, and he threw somebody out at home plate. I mean, he did it. He took the ground ball, and he threw somebody out who was trying to score from third, with the bases loaded. That's what he did.
That was so when I read that shit, because the post was about transitioning, and then the post chopped off part of its body. You get it?
Yeah. Well, I wonder if the post had parental permission to do so.
There you go.
We don't know.
It had Donald Trump. Donald Trump was the parent. It had his permission to remove that part of the post.
Oh my God.
Oh God. That's good stuff.
Yeah.
I tell you. But yeah, messaging, huge problem for the Trump administration. Not usually Trump so much, but definitely Bondi. And real quick, I got to ask you, why fire her, but not Pam Bondi? I mean, I understand that Noem had a lot of problems, but she was good at her job. Pam Bondi, not good at her job. I don't understand.
I think it's easier. I think it's an easier position to fire somebody. I think the attorney general is a difficult position to fire somebody and unwind these complex cases and everything else. And I think the continuity there is kind of what he might be thinking. I think with Noem, he can bring in Mark Wayne Mullen and say, and here's the other thing, Jack, he's already really got Tom Homan running it when you think about it, right? Yeah, Tom Homan is kind of already running Homeland Security as far as I'm concerned without the title.
Is borders are an actual position? I mean, I thought that was like an anointed thing. I mean, his borders are, you don't actually run anything.
No, he's basically overseeing everything, but he didn't have to be approved by the Senate. It's not an official official cabinet.
Why don't he do that for everybody then? Make up titles and, it could be like, but they're really in charge, but those people have to do what he says because Trump says so. I'd do that shit. Why not?
Or you could do that, or what you said, or you could do what he's kind of doing with Marco Rubio and Scott Bessent when he has like cabinet, officials that are cabinet officials running like 5 different things.
Yeah, and he's got Marco Rubio. He's the supreme leader of Iran now. He's the president of Venezuela. He's got all that shit locked down.
That Marco Rubio meme where they keep, he's sitting in the chair and he's like this, and they keep changing his outfit. That's never going to stop. As long as
not with all the team changes that go on.
That's it. So whatever, as long as Marco Rubio, Secretary of State, whatever happens, I'm surprised we don't have him. Here's the thing. He named Mark Wayne Mullen way too fast, because if he didn't, Marco Rubio would have been sitting there like this at the Department.
As soon as the supreme leader of Iran died, I put Marco Rubio in his Ayatollah outfit and put it out, because it's just funny. That's something that's never going to go away.
No, it's a classic. It's a winner.
It is. It really is. Whoever made that first one, bravo to you. It is hilarious. And whoever took that photo, by the way, excellent job.
Yeah. Yep. It's like you didn't know you were taking the photo, one of those photos that's like iconic. Well, you did. There you go.
Exactly. Yeah. This is definitely, it's iconic in a different way, but still very, very pleasing. So, Jay, what about this House vote? 357 to 65 to block the release of congressional sexual misconduct reports. Now get this, okay? All these people that wanted the Epstein files to come out. Hey, we want the Epstein files to come out. Why aren't they coming out? These are the people that also blocked congressional sexual misconduct. So the people that were saying, hey, you're protecting pedophiles, are now protecting themselves because they're pedophiles.
Or pedophiles, or sexual harassers. I mean,
what's the difference?
Right, I guess it is kind of ironic, isn't it? Is it not hypocrisy? It's ironic. It's the pot calling the kettle black. It's all this stuff. It's infuriating too.
It is,
because 365, and what was it, 64? And I think more Democrats actually, I don't want to be wrong, but maybe more Democrats actually voted with the no, that we want to keep it, than Republicans. Actually, more Republicans were like, no, put it out. But still, we know
there were many. Yeah, there were still many Republicans. Yeah,
many. I mean, but we know a couple of our favorites. Tim Burchett was first and foremost said, no, put it out there. We want to.
He's a man. He's on it. He's awesome.
He's all over it. Oh, and I was looking through Instagram today when I was putting one of our posts up on Instagram, and somebody posted about Tim Burchett. They're like, oh, you didn't. We need to tell the Tennessee State House that Tim Burchett was one of these people. He's like, that's a lie. He's like,
yeah, I saw that. He said, that's a lie.
Could you imagine? Like, how do you get that wrong? I mean, he was one of the few people like that was like on the right side of this, and he usually is on the right side of an issue. But my God, but it really is amazing, and that's our money, Jack. That's our money. That's who are they to tell us that we can't see our money and who's spending it to get themselves out of these jams?
Why is it even allowed to be used for sexual misconduct? Shouldn't that kind of thing get you removed from Congress? I always thought congressional members were held to a higher standard, but that's obviously not the case. But now, apparently, if you or me were to misuse our campaign funds or something, we would be arrested, we'd be ousted. But they can take taxpayer money and use it to pay off sexual lawsuits. How is that not a misappropriation of funds?
It's a great question. It is like, if you or me or anybody watching or listening, if they did this, they'd be fired from their job and probably maybe civilly sued or criminally prosecuted.
Oh yeah.
And these guys and we've talked about this. They should be held to the highest standards. The highest standard there is. Our elected officials in the federal government especially should be held to. And the fact that they get away with this, and the fact that they vote for this, and then they come on TV, the Epstein files, shut up. Just shut up at this point, because you're so full of crap. But Jack, they get away with it. I don't know. You talked about the other day, what's our recourse? I said the Convention of States is really the only way. Or you know what? Listen, there's term limits every 2 years in the House of Representatives. Get out and vote these people out of office. Go out and vote. Not enough people in this country, Jack, not enough of them vote, especially when it's not a presidential election cycle.
That reminds me, I'm glad you brought that up, because I want to show everybody in California, we have a chance in California. Now, I don't live in California, but California is a big state for the United States, and we have a chance right now to actually win the governorship for the first time since 2006. I want you guys to take a listen to this.
Win Get out. That's the very direct message from the chair of California's Democratic Party to the half a dozen high-profile Democrats that are running for governor. The June primaries are fast approaching, and the field remains very crowded. Here's a look at the latest polling from February. You can see the top 2 Republican candidates are polling around the same numbers as the top 3 Democrats. And the Democratic Party's worried all those other candidates polling at a combined 30 points could clear the way for a Republican victory for the first time since 2006.
See, the Democrats are now scared. They are scared that the Republicans, see, in California, it's a completely different situation. It's really messed up how they do it. But in the primary, it's not Republican versus Democrat. It's everybody for themselves and the top 2 who go to the general election. Right. What they're worried about now is there's only 2 Republicans in this race. There's like 5 or 6 or 7 Democrats, right? And now the Democrats are splitting the vote amongst them. So if the top 2 Republicans, if you get multiple choices when each person comes. You don't get to just pick one when you're voting because there's multiple people in this primary. So if the Republicans all vote for the only 2 Republicans, but the Democrats split the votes among them, it could end up being Republican versus Republican for the California governorship. And the Democratic leader of California, the leader of the Democratic Party in California, came on the news and said, look, I sent an open letter to everybody. If you do not think you can win, you need to take an honest look at your chances. And if you do not think you need to win, you do not think you have a chance to win, a viable path, you need to get the hell out.
Well, that's what he has to do as a Democrat. He's actually making a smart announcement. But those Democrats, Katie Porter, who's like right there and like second or third, who's a Democrat, she might be the most unlikable person on the planet. That woman, if you've seen videos of her with her staff, she treats her staff like garbage, like yells at them on camera when she's doing like an ad or the stuff that's come out about Katie Porter. And she's got the eyes, Jack. She's got the crazy person. Eyes.
Yeah.
Horrible.
Yeah.
And she's got the crazy eyes. And then you got Swalwell and whoever else. They're terrible. So when you have Steve Hilton, everybody listen. You're not going to get Ron DeSantis as the governor of California. You're going to get some, central, a center right at best person who's going to be the governor of California, but we'll take it over what we've had with Gavin Newsom, or certainly over Katie Porter or an Eric Swalwell. There's no doubt about that. But, it's almost like bullet voting for the Republicans. Bullet voting is that for instance, when I ran for delegate in my precinct, Jack, there would be like 5 names. You could vote for 5, but you didn't have to vote for 5. So what a lot of people would do is they'd bullet vote. They would just vote for the one that they wanted, and make sure that person that on their ballot, nobody else got a vote. The Republicans are getting this by default because there's only 2 of them. And like you said, there's like 5 Democrats. So they're getting bullet voted in. So they're at a huge advantage. So that whoever that guy is on a Democrat side, you're absolutely right. He's making the right move. Hey, if you can't win, get the F out because we're going to lose.
Well, all I can say is I hope, even though they're really just, they're more moderate than Republican, it would still be nice to have one of them win, because I can tell you right now, the Democrat Katie Porter is leading for Democrats, and that woman is insane. If you've ever seen any of her social media stuff, she is one of the meanest, most unbelievable people you'll ever see. If you think Gavin Newsom was bad, Gavin Newsom was neglectful and he was a thief. But this woman is actively mean. So that means you're going to have a hell of a lot more problems than you did with Gavin Newsom. I can promise you that much.
Yeah, like I said, she might be the most unlikable person on the planet, not just in politics, just in general. She is awful. I don't know how anybody could vote for this woman, but apparently they will, because she's a Democrat, and if it's a D, they'll vote for a squirrel if a D's in front of the name. So I don't know if you want to find any clips of her, Jack, because they are kind of amusing, to be honest, so people can maybe see how awful Katie Porter is, but it's up to you. But she is awful, and if we don't play them after the show, go look at some Katie Porter clips. You'll be amused and annoyed.
Well, I got some interesting stuff to show about somebody else, actually.
Okay.
So as you know, Jasmine Crockett was defeated in the Senate primary. She's out. She is done with politics, at least for now. We don't have to hear about her in the Senate and her ghetto hood rat fake, accents and all that bullshit. We don't have to see the fake lashes, the fake nails, all that shit. So, but the person that took over, don't get me wrong, that's still a Democrat. And I'm going to show you what I'm talking about when I say he's still a Democrat. I want you to take a listen to this.
I want us all to be aware of is that modern science obviously recognizes that there are many more than two biological sexes. In fact, there are six, which honestly...
Six. He said modern science shows you that there are many more than two biological sexes. There are actually six, according to the man that is taking over for Jasmine Crockett.
Yeah, he's obviously mentally ill, like the rest of them.
Mm-hmm.
And I quite honestly, I love it that Jasmine Crockett lost, but I don't love it that Jasmine Crockett lost, because I think Jasmine Crockett would have been way easier to beat than this guy.
Well, the devil you know is better than the devil you don't. I'll tell you that much.
Yes. And I think this guy's dangerous. I think he's more dangerous than Jasmine Crockett, because he's going to come off as this. He'll play the game as this, mild mannered, moderate.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Right. And you just heard he's not moderate at all. He's insane. He's one of these people where my litmus test question that I have to even bother having a conversation with somebody, if I asked Tallarico, can men get pregnant? He wouldn't answer me right away. No, he would give me, well, there are six genders. So,
yeah. He would give you all sorts of bullshit. But see, the thing is, we got rid of Jasmine Crockett, okay? And then we also got rid of, who was the other person that lost? I forget. It was one other person that lost that was a big, Dan Crenshaw. He's gone. That is excellent, because he might have been a Republican, but he wasn't a Republican. He was one of the worst people. When we used to, he actually replied to one of my messages that I was sending on X, and he has profanity-laced bullshit where he attacks people, which is ridiculous. But I'll tell you another good thing. Al Green is this close to losing his primary. He's in the runoff, and he's this close to losing. And if Ken Paxton can get in over John Cornyn, we are all moving in the right direction, man.
Well, that's a very interesting. Well, let me talk first about Crenshaw. I think the guy that replaced Crenshaw is more of definitely a MAGA America First agenda. He's not a neocon. He's not. He's definitely more of what we're looking for in the long run from Dan Crenshaw. So fine for goodbye, Dan Crenshaw. Thank you for your service, but go move on to something else. Dan Crenshaw is going to end up on TV, Jack. Whatever. Now, as it goes for Al Green, it's kind of like, do I want to see Al Green lose? Yes. But again, he's so bad that it's almost good for us to have these idiots in there, because it makes them look so ridiculous. And he's
the one that's filing all the impeachment charges. As soon as Trump gets in there, he'll be the one that does it.
I know, but it's almost like comic relief, and most people don't take him seriously, even on their side, or normal people who are Democrats. There are still some, but not many, but there are still some. Now, with Paxton and Cornyn, that is so interesting to me. Of course, I want Ken Paxton. John Cornyn is John Thune. He's Mitch McConnell. He's every Rhino establishment, uniparty member. He's the definition of it, right? The thing is, if Wesley Hunt didn't run, I think, and I'm not from Texas, I just think Wesley Hunt took a lot of votes that would have went to Paxton. I really do. I think if Wesley Hunt doesn't run, I think Paxton gets the 50%, but he didn't. So now we have Ken Paxton and John Cornyn, and President Trump's going to endorse one of them. I'll talk about that, but I want to hear what you have to say so far about what we just talked about with Ken Paxton and John Cornyn.
Well, obviously, I want Ken Paxton to win, but I worry about Donald Trump. I mean, I know you say he's in between a rock and a hard place with John Thune, but what the hell is John Thune doing for us anyway? He's already doing everything to stop us, the Save America Act and all this other bullshit. You might as well pull some punches of your own. Go after Ken Paxton, because what the hell is John Thune going to do about it? Is he going to go against you even more than he already is? I mean, the dude's against everything you do.
Yeah, I know, but he could be even worse. I know he's awful. He could be worse. He could stop nominations. He could do a lot of things.
He already does.
I know.
Even the recess appointments.
That we talked about that, right?
And the Save America Act.
It's awful. Well, did you see what Ken Paxton put out today? He said, I'll drop out.
Yeah.
If you commit to passing the Save America Act, John Thune and John Cornyn. I thought that was a brilliant move by Ken Paxton.
How unbelievable is that? That tells you that man is actually for America and for the citizens, because he was an excellent attorney general. They tried to remove him, I don't know how many times, in the Texas House and Senate, but he was an excellent attorney general. I always said, and I've lobbied for Ken Paxton to be nominated as attorney general over Pam Bondi when Donald Trump got in. He was a finalist, but he didn't end up being nominated because, you know, he wanted some do nothing, you know, blonde bitch that sits out at the beach all day. I guess I don't know.
He never would have got the approval, Jack. He never.
Yeah, but I mean, you know, it is what it is. But what I will say is I think that he should go with Ken Paxton because obviously, you know, Ken Paxton is a person that represents the people. You know, he represents the people, and, you know, there's always backroom deals going on. You could say, hey, John Thune, I'm going to nominate Ken Paxton, but, you know, on the back end, I'll do this or this, you know, something small. You know what I mean? So you can bring this up for a vote and I'll sign it. You know, there's always backroom bullshit going on. So do it so we could actually have at least one person that we know in the Senate is for America. I'm willing to let John Thune get some kind of backroom deal, some kind of small, you know, vote for this, and I'll sign this bullshit if Ken Paxton wins the Senate. If he's allowed to nominate Ken Paxton, he wins the Senate, I would be willing to make that trade-off. Because if Ken Paxton is willing to make that trade-off for Americans, where he will leave if they pass the Save America Act, I, as an American, am willing to make that trade-off for John Thune to be able to do something if Ken Paxton can win the Senate.
Well, how about this? How about that? I agree. I'm fine with that. How about this? President Trump endorses John Cornyn, but kind of doesn't. He does, but I think even if President Trump endorses him, I think Ken Paxton could still win. I got to be honest with you. Now, the money difference is astronomical. The amount of money John Cornyn spent, I believe, $75 million compared to $4 million. The fact that Ken Paxton is within 1 point of John Cornyn being outspent by 65 or 70
shows you
million
how powerful social media is, man.
And how much people in Texas are sick of John Cornyn. Because that's why I think even if President Trump gives him the wink and the nod, kind of, yeah, I endorse John Cornyn, I still think Ken Paxton could win. I mean, the money is a problem. Obviously, he's going to outspend him on ads, you know, on TV and everywhere else by the margins are absurd.
He just took that $4 million and put it on social media, all just bombard social media with it and just target Texas voters because, you know, unlike X and Facebook, you can target accounts that are in specific states. Just target Texas voters with all of your stuff just on social media. He will win. That's the only reason he is where he is now, is because everybody on social media knows how much he's done against the Biden administration, for Trump, for Americans in general. And that's why he's so close to where he is. If he just it's not how much money you have, it's how wisely you spend it. If he spends that stuff wisely on social media, he can win this thing.
No, it's true. It is true. But I mean, it is such a huge difference where it's like, my God, that just seems daunting. But wouldn't it be great, though, if President Trump actually just says, all right, I'm going to endorse Cornyn and Paxton wins anyway? That would be the best of both worlds. Hey, John Thune, I tried. I endorsed your boy. He didn't win. Now I got my guy in anyway. So you still got to do what we agreed to because we made a deal. But that would be actually funny. We'll see. It is interesting. It's only in May. It's coming up. It's around the corner.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it's very interesting. You got the runoff there, the runoff with Al Green. There's many runoffs if they don't, especially in Texas. If neither candidate hits 50%, then there's a runoff where everybody has to vote again, which I think is ridiculous. But anyways, are you ready to have your mind blown? So what if
I didn't know that was happening tonight. I didn't know this was happening. All right.
What if I were to tell you that Facebook was made primarily to capture the data of everyone?
Oh, all right. You hold on. So Facebook was made just so we go on the platform and we do all this stuff on Facebook. And that way they have all the story of my life, know how to target me, know how to advertise to me and and then they could sell it to tell everybody else how to do it to me. Is that what you're telling me?
That's exactly what I'm telling you. And it's even further than that. I want you guys to take a listen to this. This is very interesting. And I think you'll like this a lot right here. So take a listen.
The whole Facebook movie is a giant lie. It's a propaganda piece. That was a Pentagon program called LifeLog. LifeLog is a Pentagon program that wants to collect all your data for your whole life. What day did the government stop the LifeLog project?
Whoa. DARPA shut down the LifeLog project February 4th, 2004.
What day was Facebook registered as a business?
Oh my God. No way, bro.
The exact same day. They don't even hide it, dude.
It was created by DARPA.
Yeah. They handed it to Mark Zuckerberg, and then the Vossel twins.
What about the other? Yeah.
That's all, and that's why they became the first Bitcoin millionaires.
So how crazy is this? And believe it or not, it tends to be pretty damn believable when you factor in the fact that everybody willingly gives up public information about their entire lives, every little thing about them. This LifeLog project was made by DARPA to gather information on every single person, their entire lives, for whatever purposes they wanted to use it for. That's what it was. So LifeLog was shut down February 4th, 2004. Facebook was registered February 4th, 2004, and it has the same purpose, because now, rather than DARPA and LifeLog having to try to find information about everybody, people give them willingly their information.
Brilliant.
Incredible.
Absolutely brilliant. That is crazy, though, those dates.
Isn't it? Incredible stuff.
Hey, I am vindicated. It's not Palantir, it's Facebook. Facebook actually takes your data. Facebook and Mark Zuckerberg.
You give them your data, actually.
Can't stand. Well, Palantir will organize it for Facebook, but Facebook is the one who's collecting your data. And we know, and you're right, Jack. I went off Facebook. I deactivated my account about 3 weeks ago, and I was on it since like 2008. I had enough. I couldn't stand it anymore. I hated it. I said, why am I even on this stupid app anymore? I deactivated my account. But this is incredible. That date thing is sick. Like that's really the day DARPA was like done, and then the same day
not DARPA, but the LifeLog project. They shut down the LifeLog project on February 4th, 2004. Then Facebook was registered the same day, given to Mark Zuckerberg, who then made it to what it is today. Because you know how all these, I mean, you got to think, if there's all these kind of conspiracies and cabal that run things, these big businesses, these huge monster corporations, they're not just built by one person coming out of the ground. That just doesn't happen. Okay. They're built in a certain way. And Facebook was built by them, given to him, and used to collect all your information, because you willingly give over every piece of information about yourself. And Facebook has all these terms of services that nobody reads. And it says, we're going to take all your information. We're going to sell it to everybody. If the government wants your information, we're going to give it to them. It says all of that stuff. You click accept, you have no idea what you're talking.
No. And it's so funny. It's like, you can't wait to get on. I got to see my friends. I got to see my family. Oh, what do you need? My date of birth. Oh, how about my social security number?
Yeah, everything, every single thing you got.
Here's where I like to go eat. Here's where I like to go get my car. Here's where I go during the day. Here's where I go to my job. And everything. That is incredible. I mean, the fact that it's the same day that DARPA ended that program. How is that even? Couldn't they like waited a week?
It's pretty amazing, right? Incredible stuff, man. I mean, and it's funny because LifeLog literally served the purpose that Facebook is serving. They deactivated one and started the other the same day. But now, instead of having to go get your information, everybody willingly gives it up.
There you go. Oh, and how about this? I'm sure that LifeLog, that was a government program, LifeLog, Jack?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, well, LifeLog would have been subject to what? FOIA.
FOIA law, yeah.
Oh,
FOIA.
Guess what? Is Facebook?
No.
Facebook's
not subject to anything.
There you go.
It's pretty smart.
Yeah,
I gotta say.
That is. It's
brilliant. If I'm the government, that's brilliant. I mean, you're telling me now that you're inventing something. You're going to tell me that everybody in the world is going to willingly give me all their information. That's all I got to do is put this on, and they're going to give it to me. That's brilliant.
It really is. And you know what? I like that movie too, Social Network.
It was a good movie. It was a good movie. Yeah, not true, but it was a good movie.
Oh, no, I believe it all. Napster. Remember Napster? You remember Napster?
Oh, I remember Napster. I actually got one of the notices from Napster because I used to download music from it. And then when all the music companies were sued, like Tower Records and all that, they sued Sean Parker and Napster. Yeah. You know, I got all those notices as well saying, you know, you might be called as a witness, yada, yada, yada thing. It was crazy because, yeah, those were back in the days of dial-up internet. You know, it was crazy.
Yeah, I remember. And I remember in the movie, who played Parker? It was Justin Timberlake, right? Yeah. He played him. And he said, don't call it the Facebook, just Facebook, like he did with Napster, just Napster. I was like, I bet that's true. I bet you some of that movie's true. Not all of it. I'm sure there's a lot of license they took with it and, you know, all
Well,
that
how
stuff,
it
but-
began is not true.
Well,
Now,
those
the rest of the
Winklevoss
stuff,
brothers, the Winklevoss
nobody else knew. Nobody else knew that this was given to Zuckerberg. He was the only one that knew. So once he had it, then everything else is real.
Well, what about the Winklevoss brothers? I think that's their name. They were like in the movie, they like invented it with him, right? Those two brothers, the twins. And then he kind of like in the movie, he kind of like, you know, he screwed him. He stabbed him in the back and he took it on his own. And then they sued him. And I think in the movie they settled for like $30 million.
Yeah, because they did have the idea first.
Right.
But see, when DARPA and them and Zuckerberg got this idea, because they do a lot of their stuff at Harvard, at Stanford, a lot of their kind of research studies, that kind of stuff. They do it at these big universities that are liberal. So some of the people that are in these research programs, one of them might have been Mark Zuckerberg. They might have said, "Hey, that's a great idea." They might have said, "We got this project, LifeLog. We're trying to get everybody's information." And Winklevoss might have told him about this idea, and he's like, "You know what? I got this idea for a company named Facebook that people will just give over your information to us. We don't have to do LifeLog anymore." And they're like, brilliant. So they set it up and they're like, who cares about Winklevosses? We'll pay him. We'll pay Divya and Narendra. We'll pay all of them. And then, if they come back for more, the Winklevosses are now Bitcoin billionaires. I mean, you tell me.
Yeah, they kind of got the jump on that, didn't they? Don't you wish we did? Yeah. The thing is with I would love to know who got to Zuckerberg. Who from the government was the first one to make contact with Zuckerberg?
It's just going to be some random name you wouldn't know, because it's somebody who's doing their research studies at Harvard, just like in Stanford when they do medical studies, like a study on LSD to see the effects of it. They do studies like this to see what people respond to in terms of what kind of information they'll give you. So they figured out that Facebook, a social media site similar to a MySpace, people would give up their information willingly. See, MySpace was already out there and it was awesome. But then Facebook comes in and there's so much pumped into it. And that's why everybody left MySpace and went over to Facebook. And it was brilliant the way they put it together, because now they're like, oh man, MySpace, that's a great idea. Winklevoss, that's a great idea. We're going to take that. You're going to give us all your information and we don't have to do shit.
Yeah. No,
brilliant.
It's crazy. It really is. And the fact that, Zuckerberg and these two guys that, I just want to know, was it an MK Ultra that got to them? Did they send somebody in to talk to these guys? Like, who was it?
Yeah.
I mean, imagine if you could ever find the guy who was the first one to approach these guys and say, this is what we're going to do. That would be something else.
It would be.
Listen, that person, if there is somebody that did it, it didn't get the site. It didn't come to them by themselves. Somebody approached them. If they're still alive, that would be a hell of a person to find, to say who came up with that, to say,
oh man, imagine getting them on the show.
Oh,
that
God.
Would be incredible. But I got something even more incredible for you, Jay. Check this out. Okay. This right here is this is a receipt. Okay. I want you to check this out right here. This is a receipt from Epstein's longtime accountant, Richard Kahn. And what this is, he was stopped. This was a Federal Bureau of Investigation thing. This is what was on him. Okay. Inside were binders full of CDs. He had 2 packed suitcases. Inside were binders full of CDs. Okay. Multiple passports. All right. Bags of cash. But the most interesting thing, a U.S. Treasury badge. This is Epstein's longtime accountant. He had a U.S. Treasury badge in his suitcases. That is huge, because we know Epstein also had a fake passport that was from Austria, said he lived in Saudi Arabia, said his name, I forget what the name was, but said his name was like Finkelstein or something. I forget what the hell it was. Yeah. But it's pretty crazy that now all of a sudden his accountant also had a U.S. Treasury badge. You can start to see the government connections here, Jay.
Well, Jack, what, you mean you can't just go to the store and buy a U.S. Treasury badge? You can't do that? I thought
I had one once, but I wasn't able to get in anywhere. They figured out it was plastic.
Oh, okay. It said yours was like squarish, and it said sheriff on it. They didn't buy it.
Well, yeah, it said sheriff, and then it said I think it said not for sale or something. It was a display that I took.
Listen, what was he using that badge for? Who gave him that badge? What does he need a treasury? You don't just hand those out to anybody, right?
No, God, no. You got to be involved with the government in order to get that, or you have to know a very good forger. So either way, there we are. And we all know that Epstein is not dead. You and I proved that. Epstein had no prostate. The man that was autopsied had an enlarged prostate. Epstein had a tattoo on his left arm. The man that was autopsied had no tattoo. We proved that was not Jeffrey Epstein. Jeffrey Epstein is probably still very much alive. And I personally think if he was a CIA asset, they would have killed him or left him to rot. He was a CIA agent, and maybe not CIA. I mean, I don't know, but he was an intelligence agent of some sort. So,
and we had the video that was all going around with Ghislaine Maxwell with her brother.
And that was very compelling stuff.
Oh yeah, I mean, you look at that video. I can't say how that's not her. I just can't.
It's crazy stuff, isn't it?
I can't do it. And I've seen that all over the place. And I always look at the comments and people like, that's freaking her. Like, it's kind of like everybody's saying, it's not like some people like, no, I don't think so. It's like, everyone's like, that's her. And then they show the picture
you
of the
can
one in
tell.
prison.
Yeah, Ghislaine Maxwell has a drooped left eye. It's a little droopy. When she smiles, or even when she's looking at you, her right eye is more open than her left eye. You can see that. That is not something that most people have. And you can see on this woman, she had the exact same thing. When we did side-by-side photographs, you could see she had the exact same thing. What are the odds that another woman's going to look exactly like Ghislaine Maxwell, also have the left droopy eye? I mean, that's got to be 1 in a billion.
And the fact that the picture that they have of her that they say is her looks nothing like her.
No, we proved that also with the AI. It was only a 39% match to Ghislaine Maxwell. And then the person that she was with looked just like Ghislaine's brother, just like him.
It did. Listen, it did. If you guys haven't seen it, look for yourself and make up your own mind. And I'm pretty sure you're going to be like, I think that's freaking her. I really do.
Hey, so did you see? We got to have Jay. We got to have Allie Hopper back on. We got to have Allie Hopper on the show. Remember when we had the live conversation before we started doing the show together? You and I had a live conversation with Allie Harper. Well, check this out. She is actually. This is her right here, and she is with right now. I think it was some kind of thing where they were taught. It was some kind of deposition or something.
Yeah, it's in front of Congress.
Yeah, and apparently what happened was the Biden regime set up a hotline for unaccompanied migrant children to report safety issues with their sponsors. Like, hi, my sponsor's a child trafficker. 65,000 calls went unanswered. 65,000. Only one person was assigned to answer calls. One person. That is unbelievable. And this is Allie Hopper right here. She was, like I said, she was on a live conversation earlier, but this is her. Take a listen.
So you're telling this committee that the Biden administration, while they were letting all of these unaccompanied minors into the country, and as we've talked about today, they weren't keeping track of them, they issued these kids a hotline that they could call if they had trouble with the sponsor family that they were put with. And you're saying that 65,000 calls to this hotline designated to protect these kids went unanswered? Is that what you're telling this committee?
Yes, sir.
Wow.
65,000 went unanswered. 65,000, Jay. I mean, that's an immense amount. How many of those kids were sold into sex slavery? How many were murdered for some satanic ritual where they get adrenochrome, get their adrenaline pumping so they can kill them and drink their blood? People think that these things are outrageous, that they couldn't possibly happen because they boggle the mind. It's hard for people to comprehend and wrap their head around the fact that a human being eating another human being, they couldn't possibly think about that. But that is what goes on. And that's what some of these kids are used for. And I guarantee you a lot of those kids, phone calls went unanswered. They're dead at this very moment.
Unbelievable. 65. You have a better chance of getting in touch with somebody at Social Security when you call. I mean, really? Think about that, right? You call a government office and you wait on, but eventually nobody's answering a phone when we're looking for children. That's incredible.
Only one person. There were like 500,000 kids that were brought in over the course of the time, maybe even more. But there was only one person assigned to answer those calls. One.
It's criminal. It's freaking criminal. So many things about the Biden administration are criminal. And yeah, we could have Allie on. We love Allie. We can get her. I'll speak to her and we'll get her on the show. Absolutely.
Yeah, she's awesome. We still keep in touch. Ever since that conversation, she's a great person.
Yeah, she's great. We'll definitely get her back on the show. Talk about this whenever you want. Absolutely.
Yeah, so maybe we'll be able to get her on tomorrow night. We'll try and see if we can make that happen. But I want to say, so one thing, we've only got about 15 minutes left, Jay. So one thing I want to talk about here is something that really, really bothers me, and I'm going to tell you why. Because as you know, Secret America, our podcast, our show, was the first one to report on the auto pen and the Biden pardons being void. We were the first ones to report on. We reported it way back on March 8th of 2024. It's either 2024 or 2020. No, it was March 8th, 2025. We were the first ones to report on. About 9 days later is when Trump came out and said the same thing. Okay. So what really bothers me, since we were the first ones to report on this, I kind of feel connected to this thing. And I kind of feel like we should be able to go after these people. Their pardons should be void. And we should be able to go after them. I mean, that's what I think anyway. But let me tell you what just happened. Apparently, the Trump Justice Department has just ended its investigation into former President Joe Biden's alleged use of an auto pen after officials, listen to this, failed and found no applicable criminal statute to pursue charges. That means A, none of his pardons are going to be void. B, none of his executive orders are going to be void. And C, you can be an absentee president.
I think this annoys me more than the thing we talked about with the slush fund with Congress. Are you freaking kidding me? Is that true that just came out? I mean, that is so annoying because who else gets to do this?
Now everybody. And now if the president can do it and there's no criminal statute against it, any government official can do this. Prosecutors in the U.S. Attorney's Office for the District of Columbia were unable to find a legal hook or applicable criminal statute to pursue the matter further. And apparently over 100 accounts, belonging to, and they said, I wonder if this is what prevented the attorneys from finding out. But apparently I'm trying to find where it was. Apparently all the federal judges and DOJ personnel had their full data set stolen in some kind of full Lexus report thing. It's a huge mess. But either way, they're saying that no, there's nothing going to be done about the auto pen presidency. It's closed. The matter is done. His pardons are good. First of all, if he didn't sign them with his hand, you can take that to the Supreme Court. Why just close the matter and say, let's put it behind us? I am so sick of all the presidential administrations, Trump included, saying, let's put this shit behind us. Let's put Epstein behind us. Let's put Joe Biden's auto pen presidency behind us. I'm sick of that shit. We don't want to put the last 4 years behind us. We want revenge. We want justice for the last 4 years. If we were ever going to get justice for anything, it should have been the auto pen presidency. That is illegal. The president has to sign it. There were even staffers that admitted that they signed it with the auto pen and didn't have his approval.
Right.
Jill Biden signed that first time. That wasn't even Joe Biden's signature. That was Jill Biden's signature. But when that first happened, I put up a side-by-side between Joe Biden, Jill Biden, and the auto pen signature. You could clearly tell, it doesn't take a handwriting expert to clearly tell that Jill Biden was the one that signed that auto pen signature. So it was never even the president's signature at all. But they're not going to do shit about it.
Very frustrating. I don't even know if that's the right word. It's annoying, sickening, frustrating. We are not allowed to sign stuff, have somebody else sign stuff for us. Ever.
No, it's forgery.
Ever. Right. Ever. Even if you were at the bank and you were signing something for your son or your daughter or your cousin or whoever, and they gave you permission, they would say, no, the bank, no, you can't do that. They got to sign it. We are allowed to have the president, even that to me. And now we have it where You said it. They weren't even getting authorization. They
Tell
were
me,
just
how
doing this.
are these documents not notarized? This is an executive order and an official pardon. How are these things not notarized by an official notary?
I remember Mike Johnson. Mike Johnson, I remember he told a story and he said, I went up to President Biden. I was talking about an executive order. I forget what it was about. And he totally didn't remember it. He didn't remember it. And Mike Johnson was like, no, Mr. President, it was this, as you signed this. He's like, oh, I did? I mean, but Mike Johnson, hello, right there. If I'm Mike Johnson, I'm going in front of TV cameras. I'm like, I'm going to like, the president doesn't even know what he signed. I don't think he signed it. Whatever this document is.
That's headed up
void
to about $9 billion.
Yeah. No, you're absolutely right.
You know, it should be voided. It should be voided. And we have executive orders. We have pardons. We have, what about laws? What about laws? What these laws were signed? Did Joe Biden sign these laws? No.
Yeah. Oh yeah. No. The auto pen signed the laws. It signed most of the executive orders. It signed all of the pardons.
Supreme Court appointments.
Yeah, that was all signed by the auto pen. None of this stuff should be legal, and they could take it to the Supreme Court, but the Supreme Court will shoot it down, and I'm going to tell you why. Because some of those people were nominated with that signature. They're not going to say, hey, it's void, and then leave the freaking bench. Not going to happen.
Of course not. It was Ketanji Brown Jackson,
Yep.
and the other one. Who else did he appoint in the?
I have no idea. I don't even pay attention to them anymore.
He got two. He got Jackson, and the other one's slipping my mind right now. But yes, that, or it might, whatever. Just Jackson. Jackson was probably signed with the auto pen. His nomination. That should be void. It should be void. We can't do stuff like that. Why should the president of the United States to be able to sign something that important with an auto pen? Or some staffer does it. It's absurd. It really
is. It's forgery, and anybody can sign it. Anybody can sign it. I can sign this shit. So why don't I get a copy of Joe Biden's signature and start signing shit? I can't get in trouble for that. If they can do it, I can do it. So, right. I mean, why don't we all get Joe Biden's signature and start signing shit? I want some of his stocks and bonds. I want a little bit of his money from the bank. I think I'm going to get his signature and some checks and start, just stamping the shit one after another.
Well, I mean, it's the DOJ is making this decision. The DOJ is making this decision. Well, President Trump, he can't tell. Well, can he tell? No. Can he tell Pam Bondi, no, you're prosecuting this?
Yes, actually, he can. Because
he can.
I mean, force her to prosecute, but what he can do is fire her if she doesn't. So that's basically forcing her to prosecute, which she needs to do. She needs to pursue this shit, but she doesn't pursue anything, Jay. Not anything at all. And that's why it bothers me that he fired Kristi Noem and not Pam Bondi. If you're going to fire somebody, you might as well clean house and fire Pam Bondi as well. I mean, everybody wants her to go because she's not doing anything. And how crazy is it, Jay? I want everybody to hear this, okay? Everybody listen to this right quick. How crazy is it that the sexual misconduct thing for Congress, the thing that they voted on so that way nobody sees all their sexual misdeeds and their harassments, that was the first thing that Congress has agreed on in years.
Yeah, almost unanimous. It's really incredible. These people, it's the uniparty, it's the swamp, it's all those words. What I said to you today, I said maybe this Kristi Noem firing will be a domino, and maybe the dam will break a little bit. Maybe he's starting to make some moves.
I hope so.
Maybe he is. Maybe he is. And I saw what Deborah wrote about the auto pen. Yes, it says the president can direct a subordinate to affix the signature explicitly, including via auto pen, as long as the president has made the decision to approve it. They know that Joe Biden didn't approve a lot of these. That's the problem.
The person that did some of the auto pens said he did not have Joe Biden's prior approval.
That's the problem. That's why I don't understand why this isn't being pursued. That we need more information. I want more answers on this because that's the issue. We get it that it's been deemed legal to have the auto pen in use if the president approves it to the subordinate. We have heard, as you said, supporters say, no, we have no idea that the president knew anything.
The big thing about this, let's say all of that stuff is true. The big thing about this is that signature was not Joe Biden's. So it doesn't matter if he approved it. It doesn't matter if he said, oh, that was Jill Biden that signed that. And I can prove it. I can actually prove that accusation.
Man, it is frustrating as hell, Jack. It's frustrating as hell. It really is.
Absolutely.
And I would like to get more information on what the thinking was, why this isn't being pursued any further. I don't know.
Yeah, it's ridiculous, especially with. Yeah. Anyways, I'm going to move on to something else that also bothers me because apparently it was the Republicans that just killed a motion for Nancy Mace to subpoena the immigration records and Ilhan Omar and her brother's immigration records. Apparently, it was the Republicans that killed that motion for that subpoena.
Yeah, I saw her walking. I think I saw this right before I came on the show. She was walking down the hall getting interviewed. And I think, do you have that? Yeah. You want to see it? I can put it up.
And what's going on with that? Do you have any more insight you can share?
All right, tell you what. Let's take a look at this and listen real quick, everybody. Let's hear what she has to say about this.
Congresswoman, where do we stand on the investigation into Ilhan Omar? Obviously, there's some, questions regarding her citizenship. She's been referred to the Ethics Committee. Can we trust the Ethics Committee to actually be ethical and do the right thing?
Well, what's happened so far? Like, really, I think the remark is always let the process play out, right? That's what they always say, and never happens.
How can the process play out if you don't start the process? If they don't allow you to start the process, how the hell can it play out? That don't make any sense to me. She should have just said the word no. Do you think the Ethics Committee will do what they're supposed to do? No. That's simple.
No, right. How's the game going? Well, the game's got to start before I know how the game's going, right?
Exactly. You can't trust the process if there's no process.
That woman, Allison Steinberg, she's from Lindell TV. She asks the best questions of all these people. She Republicans, Democrats. She's like one of the better reporters on Capitol Hill. I swear to God, she asks most of the questions that nobody else asks and gets great sound bites of actual like stuff. Like, whoa, how is that? Like just now. Wait a minute. The process. What even happened here?
I have to real quick. I have to agree with Raina and Nate. I can't believe we have President Trump and nothing is being done. I have to agree. We have President Trump. Get this, Jay. I want you to take a listen to this. We have President Trump, we have the Senate, and we have the House, but nothing is getting done. Nothing that we wanted to do. We voted everybody in. Everybody's in. We took the House. We took the Senate. We sweeped every single swing state. Never been done before, but nothing is happening at all. Nothing.
Well, the president is trying to do what he can via executive order. We know that. He's signed.
Yeah, but we know those have no teeth. They have no enforceability.
As long as he's president, they have teeth. That's it. But he's got to do all these things in executive order because Congress does nothing.
But see, even an executive order, it's not enforceable. It's not all he can do, the most he can do is take away federal funding. That's it. He has no way to enforce these things.
Well, if he writes an executive order and it's under federal jurisdiction, it applies. It does, but only
not as law. Not as law, though. It's not a law.
No, it's not a law.
So that's why it's not enforceable, though. You see, only if he takes away federal, like say a college, he says no more men and women's sports, but a college does it anyway. He has no way to enforce that. All he can do is remove their federal funding. So that's why a president really doesn't have very much power.
Yeah, well, the problem is Congress. But it's so funny that Congress never wants to do anything. But it's all of a sudden, and actually the Republicans did the right thing with the War Powers Act. They actually, the Republicans actually in the Senate and the House actually did the right thing for the president in that regard. But it's so funny how they always want to delegate all their responsibility to the executive. And then when they don't want to, though, you can't do that. Screw you. Do your job once in a while, Congress. They are the worst. Congress
they are the worst,
Jack. I know we're running out of time, but they are absolutely the worst. We have a president who I think is the best president of my lifetime, and he still has so much trouble getting things that we.
Well, I mean, look at the comparisons. What the hell you got it to compare to? George Bush, Barack Obama. You got a freaking Jimmy Carter. I mean, there's really not much comparison. I mean,
Reagan. That's about it.
Reagan. He's definitely the best president, of my lifetime because I was born right after Reagan's presidency, and we had nobody. CIA Director George W. Bush Sr., George H.W., and then, George W., the party frat boy. I mean, none of that shit worked out. So, yeah, we have the best president of my lifetime. The problem is, even with the Republican Party owning the Senate and the House, we get nothing done. That's why I said there has got to be a regress, another way to get this system done without Republican, without Democrat, without parties. We've got to come together at a convention of states if we have to and make a new political process. It's obvious that Congress no longer represents the will of the American people. So it's time for us to make a new government that does, Jay. So I just want to say, everybody, real quick, make sure you check us out, okay? We want you to follow us. Please follow us on X, YouTube, Rumble, Kick, Instagram, TikTok. It's all Secret America TV. X, YouTube, Rumble, Kick, TikTok. Like I said, Instagram, it's all Secret America TV. On TikTok and Instagram, we have some really cool clips. We do the clips from each of these shows. We also put them on X. But, we live stream on Rumble and YouTube. But don't forget about Live from America TV. We're also on Live from America TV Monday through Friday at rumble.com/LFA. TV, Jay. You got anything else you want to say before we go?
No, we are good, man. Great show. And we will see everybody tomorrow night. It's already Friday. I can't believe it.
Yeah, it went by so fast. Thank you guys for watching. For Jay Gatling, I am Jack Danger, and thank you for watching Secret America.
You've been listening to Secret America.